Hi, welcome back to another video on my channel, and it's been a while since I recorded my last one, but I thought I'd try and pick things back up with the FTMO Academy series. Since I've been gone, I've done a little bit of trading on my Go account, but I'm going to make a separate video on that and then revisit some of the trades I've made and kind of get that back on the road. The new mic we've got, I've actually bought a new microphone, so we've got something a bit more higher quality now to use. What we're going to be doing today is fundamental indicators and going through some of them because they are really important to understand in the news, like in your news calendar events. So the first one it talks about in the academy is employment reports. Obviously they're just like different changes in the rates of employment in the country. GDP is the next one. Changes in GDP can have a large impact on foreign currency. An increase in GDP tells us that the economy is strengthening. This is like a general indicator, so it's like a general number that is used. You can probably the most known bit of information on this on this page here. Every country's GDP is talked about quite commonly, and you can see like a decrease in it is an indication of a weakening economy. A trade balance obviously represents the trade in a country, which basically means the imports and the exports of the economy itself, which affects the demand for the country's currency. So the outcomes of trade are a deficit, which means the country is importing more than exporting, and a surplus, which is the opposite. The CPI, which is quite a commonly talked about indicator, however, it's just called the Consumer Price Index. It tells us the prices of products of a consumer level, and is also a key indicator of inflation. So when the CPI directly influences monetary policy, it's mandatory for most central banks to control inflation. An increase in inflation usually indicates an interest rate rise. Lower CPI readings indicate lower interest rates. The PMI, which is something I know probably the least about, however I do see it pop up on the calendar, is a Purchasing Managers Index, showing the activity of purchasing managers and can act as a leading economic indicator. The PMI indicates strength or weakness in the manufacturing sector. So this can obviously show some form of economic change. Interest rate decisions are one of the most important things here. They are part of the central bank's monetary policy, and the leading indicators include activities and speeches by bank officials that are regularly watched by traders. Interest rate changes by central banks are very important in the valuation of currencies. If banks set high interest rates, their currency usually attracts foreign assets from countries with lower interest rates. And then the final one here is central bank statements. Most central banks issue statements to describe their monetary policy and why they did or not make any changes. These statements affect the market, especially if the changes are unexpected. We use the terms hawkish and dovish in the central bank's decisions. I actually never knew that. That's quite interesting. Central banks are hawkish when they want to tighten monetary policy by increasing interest rates or reducing balance sheets. Being hawkish means strong economic growth.